Hello, my name is Erin Gaber, and I'm a world champion artistic roller skater. And in this episode, I'm going to be teaching you T-position, T-start, and T-stop. All right, in this tutorial, we are going to be talking about T-position, T-starting, and T-stopping, okay? So the T-position is the safest way for you to stand while standing still, okay? Especially for a beginner skater. Maybe you don't necessarily have the body control that you used to when you were younger. If you're coming back as an adult skater or just a younger kid, they typically don't have the body control yet. So standing in T-position will save you a lot of unnecessary falls, okay? As opposed to standing like this and then, not having control of your body and your skates, going out from underneath you, okay? So the most appropriate or safest way to stand when you are not rolling or skating is a T position. As you can see, it's not in a full T, it's just slight angle. So I pull the skates together and I kind of keep my legs engaged here to keep them together so they're not moving anywhere, okay? So once you've mastered the T position, we're gonna move into T pushing or T starting, okay? Again, it does not need to be in a full 90 degrees. Okay, I actually recommend it to be kind of more like a 60-degree angle, okay? Because the more you open the toe, it actually could open your hip, which makes your push harder or less productive, okay? Because if you push and your hip goes back, you don't really get any push, okay? So I recommend about a 60-degree angle with the feet here. Okay, so you're gonna bend your knees, as always, keep your core engaged or strong, arms out, okay? Your weight is gonna be on the back foot, okay? So you've got one foot pointed where you want to roll and the other foot is behind it. This is your pushing leg, okay? So most of my weight is on my back foot. I would say probably 80-20. I still have this solidly on the floor, but most of my pressure and weight is on the back foot, okay? My pushing foot, okay? As I prepare to push, I'm gonna bend even more into it and then transfer my weight from the back foot onto the forward foot in a push. Okay, so the most important things to remember when you're doing a T push is to keep that back foot or your pushing foot stable and still, okay, or strong, heavy in the floor, because the more it moves around, the less push you're gonna have. You'll potentially let it slide back here. You see now all my energy just went that way rather than staying still here and pushing my energy forward, okay? So you want that foot to be strong, okay? I usually have my newer skaters learning this step find a spot on the floor and try to keep their big toe wheel sturdy on that spot. Try not to let it, move around back here. So try to find something visible on the floor that you can keep a wheel, like a specific wheel, typically your big toe wheel, on that dot or spot, and don't let it move until you actually push. Okay, and then another common error with this pushing, so we've got our bent knees, our strong core. When we bend into the push, then you pop up like a toaster, okay? That pushed all my energy upward, not forwards, okay? So the purpose of this, again, is to create power and push it forward, so I roll forward. So I don't want that energy going up like that. I want it going forward. So you want to stay bent in that knee as you finish the push, even through and after the push. You want to keep your knees nice and bent. You don't ever really want to go up on a straight leg like this, okay? So again, we've got the back leg, or pushing leg, nice and strong, heavy and still. Keep it nice and still, okay? Bending our knees, core is tight, arms are out for balance, okay? We're gonna bend and push. Now the next part of this T position we're going to talk about is T stopping, okay? So it's the same action or the same position, okay? But instead of starting your push, you're going to be finishing or stopping from a roll, okay? So you're going to do this same position. I do recommend that you master 1 foot rolling and 1 foot skating before you try a T position, because in all truthfulness, you do need to stand on 1 foot and drag the other foot for a T-stop, okay? A lot of times I see when people are trying to T-stop, they will try to just drag the foot like that. If you're not rolling very fast, that will probably work. But if you have any type of speed, that's probably going to do more damage and potentially knock you down than stopping you, okay? So what I would recommend or say that you should do is master the 1 foot roll. Once you do that, then you're gonna lightly drag the skate behind you, okay? As you do this, you do not want to slam the foot back like this, okay? My weight does not shift backwards like that. My weight is still 100% over my front leg, okay, or my skating leg, the one that I was just rolling on, okay? So I'm actually gonna drag it, but then if I wanted to, I could pick it up again, okay? I do not put all my weight back like this. Yes, I put pressure, but not my weight necessarily, okay? So again, I'll demonstrate with a little more room. So we're gonna push onto the 1 foot, then I'm gonna lightly drag it behind me, okay? Another common error when doing this is dragging these inside toe wheels, okay? Number 1, this is bad for your ankle, okay? Number 2, this is bad for your wheels and your equipment. And number 3, this isn't really very effective with stopping you, okay? So you would really like to make sure you have all 4 wheels on the floor when you're trying to do this stop. So typically I tell my students to actually try to drag the outer wheels more than the inner wheels in order to stabilize them and have all 4 on the floor, okay? What this does is it also forces you to engage your leg muscles and keep your legs strong while you're stopping, okay? Once again, if you just kind of put this foot back here and there's no tension in it and it's just like a noodle, it's not gonna stop you, okay? So you do need to have tension in that leg as you stop, okay? So utilizing the outside wheels kind of forces you to have tension in there without making you necessarily think about that, okay? So that's something I typically tell all my students when you're doing this T-stop. So you're gonna push, you're gonna drag the outer wheels nice and strong back there. Again, my leg is nice and strong. It is not like just hanging there. It's intentionally stopping me, not just hanging around behind me, okay? One more common error for the T-stop is slamming your foot in to your rolling skate. Yes, this will sometimes stop you. Typically, it will probably stop you and knock you down though. So you don't actually want your skates to touch until you are completely stopped, and then you go into T position if you want to, okay? So generally, I tell my students to drag their skate anywhere from 1 to 3 inches behind you, okay? The further it is behind you, the more your weight is split, so it might be a little more difficult at 3 inches. So if this is just an awkward position for you, I'd recommend maybe 1 inch, 1 to 1.5 inches. But again, you never want to slam that foot in there because your wheels will hit, they will stop. When the wheels are touching and they're also touching the floor, that's when you have problems, okay? So again, when you do this stop, you want to drag it about 1 to 3 inches behind. Once I'm completely stopped, I can bring my skates together, okay? One more problem or issue or error that people have when doing this stop is they let that hip, again, just like we talked about with the pushing, you want to keep your hips square, don't let it fall behind. A lot of times I will see students do something like this, push, and then they try to stop and they end up turning, or it forces them to do a transition, and now all of a sudden they're backwards, maybe not ready to go backwards. So again, that's just this hip has to stay strong, okay? So when you're doing this, you're rolling, you have to keep this forward and strong, okay? Sometimes with skating, especially when you're learning new things, it will feel like your body is naturally doing something. Just because it's naturally doing that does not necessarily mean that's what it should be doing, okay? Typically, it's the opposite, okay? So it's totally natural for my body to get pulled that way because I'm dragging something that direction. However, you do have to keep your hips square, pointed the direction of your travel. Okay, that makes it to where you can keep that side strong and actually stop yourself instead of turn yourself into a transition. Once again, my name is Erin Gaber. Thank you so much for joining me in this tutorial going over T position, T start, and T stop.